So, I know that Boba Fett has virtually no involvement in the series whatsoever, but I just wanted to wear this helmet at the start of the review, because why not? Enjoy my review of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh yeah. Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the newest Star Wars Disney Plus show, which follows the story, if you guessed already, Obi-Wan Kenobi, once again played by Ewan McGregor in this series, after the events of Revenge of the Sith. And now, in this series, we see him dealing with what happened to his old dear friend Anakin, whilst at the same time, though, we see him in hiding, watching over a young Luke Skywalker. But then we meet these characters called the Inquisitors, who hunt Jedi for a living, and they think that Obi-Wan is alive, so they're looking out for him. And then basically, long story short, and spoiler here in case you don't know, but if you don't know, you kind of live under a rock, but still, spoiler here in case you don't know, they capture a young Leia in order to get Obi-Wan out of hiding. So they capture a young Leia as a sort of bait to get Obi-Wan out of hiding. And basically it works, and Obi-Wan goes to save Leia, and along the way he faces many complications. One of which is that he learns that Anakin is in fact still alive, and that he is now Darth Vader. And that's basically the gist of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. And honestly, I've got to admit here, I think this show is great. I really liked it, and I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed watching every episode of the series. I thought it was great, and I liked it because, at the centre of it, it was an Obi-Wan Kenobi story. I mean, it wasn't the story I would tell if I was going to make the series, but I'm not a filmmaker, and I liked the story that they told. I thought it was an interesting story. I thought it was fun to watch, and yes, I do have some big problems with it, but I liked it. I've got to admit, I did. And, you know, what's the point of me lying on this channel if I'm not going to tell the truth? What's the point of me lying if I got this channel? You know, I'm being completely honest here. I really enjoyed this show, and I enjoyed seeing Ewan McGregor back, and I enjoyed all the fan service elements as well. You know, I must admit, one of the reasons I like this show is probably because I'm just such a huge Star Wars fan, okay? And spoilers here, by the way, if you haven't watched the show, spoiler here, big spoiler warning. But basically, one of the reasons I love this show so much is because it was a show for the fans in the end. That's what it felt like. I mean, yes, it isn't a brilliant piece of television, but, you know, it adheres to those fans who grew up with the Star Wars prequels, whilst also having a flavour of, you know, what people loved so much about the original Star Wars trilogy as well. Like, I grew up watching the Star Wars prequels. By the way, my hair bike outside there, and I do apologise, but I grew up watching the Star Wars prequels. Like, I can't tell you how many times as a kid I watched The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and I loved those films so much. And, you know, even now, I will still watch those films and actually kind of enjoy them to a certain degree because I have this nostalgic view of them. Whenever I watch The Phantom Menace, I know it's got tons of problems, and I know it's so weird and wacky, and I know the dialogue is so clunky and things like that, but I still enjoy it because I have that nostalgic view of it. I just remember watching, you know, the duel between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul as a kid and just being enthralled by it and just things like that. And I kind of feel the same way about like Attack of the Clones, like watching the whole big Jedi battle in Attack of the Clones, things like that. I remember loving that as a kid, and also I remember absolutely adoring Revenge of the Sith as a kid. You know, seeing the Wookiee battle, seeing the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Mustafar, seeing the duel between Yoda and the Emperor. Just, I loved so many things about Revenge of the Sith as a kid. That was like my all-time favourite movie growing up. It really was. That and Empire Strikes Back as well. Don't be wrong, I'm a huge original trilogy fan as well. I watched the original trilogy when I was a kid, and I loved Empire and Return of the Jedi growing up. But Revenge of the Sith was also up there for me as well. I adored Revenge of the Sith growing up. And I did already speak about this, by the way, in my video that I made a couple of weeks back about my excitement and my worries for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. But I just wanted to reiterate again here to show you how big of a fan I am of the prequels. Sure, they're not good movies. I can sit here and say that. They're not good movies. But for me, they're good Star Wars, and I still enjoy them. I still enjoy the prequels, even like Attack of the Clones, which I think is the worst Star Wars movie. I can still sit there and watch and go, you know what, I kind of have a bit of fun with it, because I just remember watching this so many times as a kid and just going along with it, and so I'm going along with it now. And, you know, that's saying something, because Attack of the Clones is a pretty awful film. But nevertheless, you get the point I'm trying to make. For someone like me who grew up watching the Star Wars prequels, this show was kind of like it's kind of like my childhood catching up on me. You know, we have Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan, which I've always wanted to see. We had little snippets of his voice in some of the past Star Wars movies that came out recently. His voice was used in the scene where Rey has a flash forward in The Force Awakens when she picks up Luke's lightsaber, and also we heard his voice in The Rise of Skywalker when Rey hears all the Jedi that have been before her, but we've never properly seen him back. I must admit, I did think we'll get a Force Ghost with him in The Rise of Skywalker before that movie came out, but then we didn't. But still, nevertheless, we haven't actually seen him back. And he's back now, and the series is all about him. I really like that. And also, I like seeing Hayden Christensen come back. And I said it in my video I made a couple of weeks ago that I think we're going to see a flashback with Hayden Christensen. Although I've got to admit, I did think we were going to see more than one flashback with Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. But still, we got to see one. And I did think it was done so well in episode 5 of this series. And also, we got to see Qui-Gon come back. Like, I never thought we would see Qui-Gon come back. I know we had Qui-Gon's voice as well in The Rise of Skywalker, and again in that scene where Rey hears all the Jedi that have been before her. If you watch the credits, apparently Liam Neeson's voice is actually in that scene as Qui-Gon. But the thing is, though, I was a bit hesitant whether we'd actually see him in this show, because Liam Neeson, you know, he was very against returning, it seemed like, in this show. I mean, I might be reading the comments on what they said, but he just didn't seem that interested in coming back to a Star Wars TV show. He said he'd like to do a Star Wars film, but it's not a Star Wars TV show. Although I must admit, I did kind of feel it was a bit tongue-in-cheek when he was saying that. I'm thinking, maybe just saying that to, you know, throw us off the set. I do think maybe he is returning, but I don't know. I didn't know. And I must admit, I was watching the last episode of this show. I was quite anxious whether we're actually going to see Qui-Gon return, because it kind of built up to it, you know, throughout the series. And then we see him return, like, the final moment. And it was almost like a blink and you'll miss it cameo. But I just loved that he was there. It was only like for like 30 seconds. I've just finished watching the episode again. I watched it this morning when I had my breakfast. But the thing is, when that happens in this episode, I was like, Qui-Gon's back and Liam Neeson's back playing him. I mean, it was only small, and it was kind of like Wedge and Tilly's cameo in The Rise of Skywalker. You know, it's a blink and you'll miss it cameo, but it's just kind of like a little nod from Disney saying, you know, Star Wars fans, we know what you want, and we put it into the show because we can, and we want to, and I love things like that. And also, I like seeing, you know, Jimmy Smits back as Senator Bail Organa. I'm a fan of Jimmy Smits as an actor, so I really enjoyed him in The West Wing, with the last 2 seasons of The West Wing which he was in. And also, I enjoyed him as Bail Organa in the Star Wars prequels. He was in Attack of the Clones, and he was in Revenge of the Sith, and I think he had a cameo in Rogue One as well. I might be wrong there, but I think he had a cameo in Rogue One. And I love seeing him back here as well. I did think he would be in the show, and I also did think that there would be a young Leia in the show, although I didn't think she would have quite the big one that he did, but still, I did think that I would see Senator Bail Organa back, because Jimmy Smits has, you know, returned to the character already in Rogue One. But still, I like seeing him back as well. It just brought a huge grin to my face. And also, I like that they got James Earl Jones back to the voice of Darth Vader. And I actually think, and I love Rogue One, by the way, and I love seeing Darth Vader in Rogue One, and I love the scene between Darth Vader and Krennic in Rogue One, where Krennic is like talking to Darth Vader about how the rebellion is getting close to get the Death Star plans. I love Rogue One so much. It's one of my favourite of the newest Star Wars films. But the thing is, though, in Rogue One, Darth Vader's voice, or James Earl's voice as Darth Vader, sounded a bit old. It sounded a bit gruffly in Rogue One. And I mean, I still liked that they got him back. I thought that was great, but still, it just sounded a bit gruffly. It just sounded a bit, ooh, I'm a bit old now. I'm Darth Vader. I'm a bit old. I can't do a Darth Vader voice whatsoever. Bigger the point I'm trying to make. It sounded like James Earl Jones was getting on a bit. And he was. He's an old actor now. But still, in this show, they got him back. And I did think they might. I didn't know they were going to go in that direction. Because, you know, they didn't have James Earl Jones voice Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith. In that small moment that we probably see, you know, Darth Vader in at the end of Revenge of the Sith. He didn't actually voice Darth Vader then. But he voiced Darth Vader here. And I actually think he sounded better in this series than he did in Rogue One. He didn't have a huge role in Rogue One. It was only like one scene where he talked in that movie, from what I can remember. But still, I like the fact that his voice has sounded a bit more Darth Vader-esque, if you will, in this series. And also, I like they had Ian McDiarmid return a little, you know, Emperor Palpatine cameo in the last episode, which I kind of thought was kind of like, you know, the cherry on the ice on top of the cake. I really liked that in the last episode. And I like seeing Darth Vader's castle again. I want to see more of that, because we saw a bit of it in Rogue One, and we got to see more of it here. And I really liked that. And I'd love to see more about the Empire in an up-and-coming TV show. I know a lot of people are against having Darth Vader, you know, just come back time and time again in these Star Wars TV shows, but still, nevertheless, I kind of like it, and I liked it in this show because they showed a new version of Darth Vader. It wasn't the same version of Darth Vader that we'd seen before. It was different than Darth Vader in Rogue One. It was different than the Darth Vader in the original trilogy, and it was different than the Darth Vader that we saw at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and I liked the version of Darth Vader that we got in the show. It's more evil, it's more vile, and I really liked that. We got the sense of why people are so scared of Darth Vader. And I would like to see more of him in his castle. Maybe do a Vader film, or just something like that. Just seeing the nitty-gritty parts of the Empire during the, in between A New Hope, in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. I would really, really like that. And I suppose the series kind of did that, but I kind of want to see more about Darth Vader. But yes, I enjoyed the fan service so much because unlike Jurassic World Dominion, which I hated, but unlike Jurassic World Dominion, the fan service in this show wasn't demeaning. It wasn't suffocating, because the show did still have its own story. At the centre of the show was a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I really enjoyed watching. Sure, like I said before, it wasn't the Obi-Wan Kenobi story I would have told, but I'm not a filmmaker, I wasn't a writer on the show. And actually, I think one of my big problems with this series is that I am a bit disappointed by it. I'm not going to lie. I'm a tad bit disappointed by it. I can still like a show and be disappointed by it. But one of my problems with the series is that simply, if you're going to go with this idea, it should have been a film. This should have been a movie. And actually, I would have loved this to be a movie. I would have loved to go to the cinema with my mates and watched it about 5 times at the cinema. Because that's what I would have done. I would have watched it about 5 times at the cinema. I saw Rise of Skywalker 4 times at the cinema. I saw Last Jedi 3 times at the cinema. And, I love going to the cinema to watch these Star Wars movies. I only saw Solo once, though, which is a bit telling. I only saw Solo Star Wars once because that's the one big Star Wars movie that I didn't really enjoy that came out recently. But that's neither here or there. But I do think that this was an interesting story to tell. But I just would have liked to see it as a film, because some of the parts of the series do kind of feel like they've been stretched over 6 episodes just because they kind of have to. And I don't know, I think it could work better as a film, because it'd be more tight and more to the point, and maybe you wouldn't have to see, young Leia being, captured twice. I think it could have worked a bit better as a movie. In fact, I think it would have worked a lot better as a film, but I still like that actually happened in the end, though. I still enjoyed this show, because in the end, it was what Star Wars has always been about. Like, a lot of people criticise Disney Star Wars, and a lot of people criticise Star Wars since 1999, since, The Phantom Menace came out, that Star Wars has just been about itself. The original Star Wars trilogy, or the original Star Wars, was heavily influenced by Kurosawa films, George Lucas has spoken about in the past, and then people have said since then, though, Star Wars has just been about itself, it's just been obsessed with itself and just referring to itself and things like that. And I disagree with that. I understand why people are saying that, I understand their, perspectives, but that's not the way I see it. Star Wars now is about family. It's always been about family. Ever since A New Hope, that's kind of like chosen family, where you see Han, Leia, Chewie, and Luke. You get a kind of familial bond between those characters because of the situation that those characters have been forced into. Same way with Rogue One, that's kind of all about family that you didn't choose, but at the same time, though, that you kind of go along with, and that have been forced together, but you actually get along really well. It's that whole idea of family in all these Star Wars movies. I might not be making my point particularly well, but you get what I'm trying to say. Star Wars has always been about family. The Skywalker saga is about Anakin Skywalker. It's about his offspring. It's about the person he loved, the prequels, and then it's about his almost brother, Obi-Wan, and then go on to the original trilogy. That's about his offspring. That's about Luke. That's about Leia, and that's about, the family they come together in. And even to the fact that Luke and Leia are actually brother and sister, which is always a bit weird because of that scene where they kiss in Empire Strikes Back. But you get the point I'm trying to make. Star Wars has always been about family. Even Solo Star Wars Story, which I'm not a big fan of. Again, I'm not going to go on about that, but I'm not a big fan of Solo. Even that film is about brotherhood. It's about the 2 characters, Han and Chewie, which are brothers. And also, if you look at the Star Wars TV shows, The Mandalorian is, in the end, a father and son TV show. It's about father and son bond. Sure, you've got these cool moments of The Mandalorian in that show, but in the end, that show is all about a father and son bond. That's what it's kind of like. There's a bond between Baby Yoda and The Mandalorian. And that's what this show's about as well. It's about, it's about a father and daughter bond. And that's why I really liked it, because it, touched on the themes of family, which the best Star Wars always does. And that is why I really, really enjoyed that, because it wasn't a story I would have told. I wouldn't have had so much focus on young Leia. And by the way, I do think young Leia should have left the show in like episode 4 of this series, but nevertheless, I did like that she was in there. And by the way, the one who plays young Leia is spectacular in the series. She's so good, and you instantly believe her as a young Princess Leia. I did anyway, and I thought that was a great addition to the show. But yes, Star Wars has always been about family. That's what I'm saying. And Star Wars has always been about family, whether it's the TV shows, whether the films, even the films you don't like. You know, I'm not really a fan of Solo, but that's, in the end, a story about two brothers when you think about it. But still, you know, in the end, I like the fact that this show was still about family. I like the fact that it touched on what Star Wars has always been about. George Lucas has always said that it's a space opera. It's a space opera. Like, it's a story about family, you know, biological family, but also chosen family, and family that you didn't really know you wanted, but then you needed, and things like that. With Rogue One, whether it's the original trilogy, whether it's the prequel, whether it's the sequel trilogy, and also it's the Mandalorian, and now Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I really like that. And also, it is an Obi-Wan Kenobi story. You know, a lot of people gone out and said, well, that's just a Reva story. It's all about Reva, you know, it's all about Moses Ingram's character. It's like, yes, I know she's a big part of the show, and actually, I've got to be honest here, and I do think Moses Ingram did a great job, and I really like the Reva character, but I wouldn't have had the Reva character in this series. Put in another series, that would have been great, and I will go on to again a bit later. But I don't think having Reva in this series was necessarily the best idea. But still, you know, in the end, this is still a show about Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is still his story. We still focus on the fact that he's, you know, having all these flashbacks of Anakin and how he turned evil. We still focus on, you know, the aftermath of what happened after Order 66. We see other Jedi that are trying to get away from the Empire, that are going to him for help. We see that in the first episode. You know, Benny Safdie's character in the first episode wants to go to Obi-Wan to get help, but then Obi-Wan declines, and then they ultimately end up getting hanged. It's really interesting ideas like that, where it's kind of like the aftermath of Order 66, and also we see Obi-Wan dealing with who he is now. It's almost like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. And I know a lot of people hated Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Personally, I loved the way they took that character. I thought it was brilliant, because it kind of reminded me of the way they took Yoda in Empire as well. You know, they're mirroring each other, and I really, really like that. I don't understand the complaints that Luke Skywalker got in The Last Jedi, but it's all subjective. If you didn't like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, that's fair enough. Personally, I love the direction they took that character in Episode 8, but still, nevertheless, it kind of reminded me of that. I felt Obi-Wan in this series was mirroring, you know, Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, and I really enjoyed seeing Obi-Wan, you know, not know who he is anymore. He's lost both mentally and physically. In the desert, he literally lives on his own in the middle of nowhere in Tatooine. Sorry, in the desert, Tatooine. I'm a Star Wars fan. What am I saying? It's Tatooine, but still, yes, you know, you see Obi-Wan in the series lost. He's not the same Obi-Wan that we know from, you know, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith. He's not the same Obi-Wan, and I like that. I just like that we got to see a different version of Obi-Wan. I thought that works really, really well. And by the way, I almost got to mention, it is boiling right now. I'm in the middle of the summer, and it's absolutely boiling outside, which is why I'm wearing this, you know, snazzy, this cool Star Wars shirt, because it's boiling, and I'm just so hot. So if I start mulling my phrases, I do apologise, because it's boiling, and I want to talk about Obi-Wan so much, but at the same time, though, it might come out as gibberish, and it might just go on and on. It might ramble on because it's so hot, and sometimes I don't think straight when it's hot, and I just want to apologise if I don't make my point the best. And also, I do still have hay fever. I've spoken about this in my last couple of reviews on this channel. I do still have bad hay fever right now, so I do apologise if I sound a bit bummed up, and I don't. Again, if I ramble on, because I'm not feeling the best, but I'm going to power on this review because of you guys, because I want to, because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I enjoyed this show. I really did. Let's talk about other things I loved, though, or other things I really, really liked. I love the main theme of the show by John Williams, you know, the Obi-Wan theme, you know, da 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 da. They can sing it like so many other iconic John Williams themes, whether it's the Jurassic Park theme, Indiana Jones theme, the main Star Wars theme, the Imperial March, and so on and so on and so on. You know, the best John Williams themes, and Edgar Wright spoke about this in the past, the best John Williams themes are themes you can sing, and you can sing the main theme of the show. And I know a lot of people won't be interested in the main theme music of this show overall, but I did speak about this in the video I made about my excitement of Obi-Wan a couple of weeks back, how I was so excited to hear this 2-minute main theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I just think it's perfect, because it summarises the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi at this point in his life, at this point in the show, the Obi-Wan character that we meet in this series, just so perfectly. Kind of the same way that, you know, John Williams did the main theme for Han Solo for the Solo-style story film, and I think that the main theme for Solo perfectly summarises, you know, the version of Solo, the version of Han Solo that we see in that movie. Even so I have many problems with Solo, the music is definitely not one of them, and that's the same thing here. I have problems with Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I will go on to a bit later in this review, but the main theme by John Williams is just brilliant. Like, it's not the best John Williams theme I've ever heard, I've got some here, but you know, that's comparing it against some of the most iconic themes of all time. Like, you know, the E.T. theme, the Jurassic Park theme, the Jaws theme, the Star Wars music, all, you know, the music to all 9 Star Wars films. I just go on and on and on. You've got the Schindler's List music. You've got, I can't think of somebody off the top of my head, you know, Close Encounters. You can just go on and on with John Williams. The Superman theme, the Harry Potter music, at least for the first 3 films, the first 3 Harry Potter films. You know, John Williams' music is so iconic and just so masterful. And if I'm comparing the main theme of Obi-Wan to some of the classic themes like the Jurassic Park theme, like the E.T. theme, like the Harry Potter theme, and so on and so on and so on, it's not as good as them, but it's still brilliant. The fact that John Williams is in his 90s now, he's in his 90s, and he's still making fantastic music like this, is so exciting. And by the way, slightly off topic, but I can't wait to hear his score for the new Indiana Jones film. That film can't come soon enough for so many reasons. It's not coming out for like another year yet, but still, I'm so excited for it. But that's neither here or there. But yeah, John Williams' theme is fantastic for this show. And it kind of brought back the inner child in me, kind of like the fan service as well. Like when I saw, you know, Qui-Gon back in this series, when I saw Hayden Christensen back as Anakin, when I saw Bail Organa back, and when I saw, you know, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan back, it kind of brought the inner child in me, like, look, they're back. So I just, even so fan service, and even so I know that it's Disney jangling keys in front of me to try and get me to like this show, it still works. I can't lie. I like seeing Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan. I like seeing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin, and I like seeing Qui-Gon back. I just can't lie. It makes me happy. But anyway, yes, just, you know, it kind of brought the inner child in me hearing the new theme for the show. Because even so, it's a new theme, you know, Star Wars music in general, just with the main movies, the Star Wars scores for all 9 films, were the reason that I really got into film music so much. I remember being a kid and listening to the soundtracks for the prequel movies so much, and listening to the soundtracks for the original movies so much, and just absolutely adoring them, and listening to them over and over again. Like, I can't tell you how many times recently I've listened to the Asteroid Field theme from Empire Strikes Back, or listened to, I don't know, the Droid March theme from the Phantom Menace, or listened to the Jedi Battle theme from Attack of the Clones, or Anakin vs. Obi-Wan theme from, you know, Revenge of the Sith. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to those themes recently, and, you know, just, I absolutely adore, you know, John Williams' Star Wars music, and I'd absolutely adore if he came back to another piece of Star Wars music. I don't think he ever will. I think, you know, it's kind of a flash in the pan, this whole idea of him coming back to Obi-Wan. I love the fact that he did come back to do an Obi-Wan theme. I love that so much, and I think it's a great piece of music, but I don't think he'll ever come back to do more Star Wars music, sadly. But still, he's blessed with so many fantastic Star Wars themes, and his main theme for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show is just so good. I went on a bit of a tangent there, but I just want to talk about how much I absolutely loved the main theme music for this show. As for Natalie Holt's score, though, I've got to admit, I like it. I do. I think it's a good score, but I don't think it's quite as good as it should be. But I'll get on to that a bit later in this video. But as for other things I liked, I did think Deborah Chow did a great job directing all 6 episodes of the series. You know, that hasn't happened with a Star Wars director yet, who worked on a TV show. You know, all the episodes of Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, and all the episodes of Book of Boba Fett were directed by different people. Sometimes you'd have, you know, return directors, like Robert Rodriguez directed 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and, you know, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard have also worked on, you know, numerous episodes of the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett as well. But still, in the past, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened with a Star Wars TV show. You know, like one singular director worked on all episodes of one Star Wars TV show. It's happened with a Marvel Disney Plus TV show. It happened with Loki. Kate Herron directed all 6 episodes of Loki, and I think she did a great job. I do have problems with Loki, but I did still really enjoy it. But still, overall, I think she did a great job with Loki, and also I think that Deborah Chow did a great job directing the series. You know, so many Star Wars fans, and I've done this in the past as well, but so many Star Wars fans will sit there and go, well, it's so easy to direct anything Star Wars. I don't understand why the directors can't do it. No, directing Star Wars is one of the most difficult things in the world, and I don't think people understand that, because not only is it going into a world where it's not, you know, it's fictional. It's completely fictional. It's a world that you might have grew up watching as well, but also you've got to immerse your viewers in the world just like that. You know, each time you watch a Star Wars episode, because it's released weekly, you know, you're not immersed in the Star Wars universe. And each director who works on any episode of any of these Star Wars shows, or any of these Star Wars films like that, or anything like that, you know, they have to immerse their viewers into the world of Star Wars just like that. And many of us viewers and many of us spectators can sit there and go, well, I don't think they do a good job, but it's so difficult starting anything Star Wars because it's not real. You can't really shoot on location. You have to create all these fantastical sets, and especially a TV show like this, when you have so much pressure. Like, I must admit, This kind of felt like the most anticipated TV show, the most anticipated Star Wars thing actually, since The Force Awakens. Since 2015, when Star Wars Force Awakens was released, this felt like the most anticipated Star Wars thing coming, and there was so much pressure going into it, and I think Deborah Chow did a great job. Do I think that some of the episodes could have been directed better? Sure, but I do think that Star Wars directors have so much pressure on them, and I do think sometimes they unnecessarily get hate from the fans as well. Like Robert Rodriguez got hate from the fans after he directed some naff episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. I think he did a good job. I think he did a good job with the Book of Boba Fett, but that's neither here or there. You want to hear my thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett? Go watch my review of that such show. But at the same time, though, other people criticise J.J. Abrams with The Rise of Skywalker, even The Force Awakens were great, and people criticise Rian Johnson with The Last Jedi and his direction of that movie. I've criticised the fact that I think Solo feels like it's directed by 3 different people, which it essentially is. It's directed by Christopher Miller and Phil Lord, but at the same time, though, Ron Howard came over to help. And also, people criticised George Lucas in the past. George Lucas, who directed the film which started it all, who directed the first Star Wars movie, he also directed the prequel trilogy. And a lot of people famously don't like the prequel trilogy, so yes, it's so easy to make anything Star Wars. Lest we forget that George Lucas, the creator of all things Star Wars, has not directed the best Star Wars movie. In fact, he's directed the worst Star Wars movie. So it's so difficult to direct anything Star Wars, and I do think many of the spectators and many of the viewers, and I do this as well, but I think many of us go, well, it's so easy to do anything Star Wars, and actually it's not. And I do think Deborah Chow did a great job. Sure, some of the episodes could have been directed a bit better, but overall, I think she did a fantastic job, and I think the visuals in the series are great. I've seen Obi-Wan in these empty landscapes, and just it sums up where the characters are just in one shot, just things like that I really liked in this show. And also, I thought the performances were all fantastic. Ewan McGregor was once again brilliant as Obi-Wan. I actually kind of thought his performance was better in this show than he was in, the prequels. And I love him in the prequels. He was my favourite character in the Star Wars prequels growing up. Him and Qui-Gon, I just absolutely adore them. And also, I love the other characters in the prequels as well. I can't think of many off the top of my head, but I loved Anakin in the prequels growing up, and I loved the Wookiees in the prequels growing up, and I loved so many parts of the prequels growing up. I really did. But Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan was my favourite part of the Star Wars prequels when I was growing up. And he is so good in the show. I instantly believed him as Obi-Wan back when he was on screen. The first one he was on screen in episode 1 of the show, I instantly believed him. Okay, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, which is where he's at in this show. And I thought Ewan McGregor was brilliant. I also like seeing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. I would have liked to see a bit more of him, but it is heavily rumoured, and I think it's been confirmed, by the way, but I'm not entirely sure, so I'm not going to say it has been, but still, I know Hayden Christensen is meant to be coming back in the Ahsoka TV show, so we haven't seen the last of him yet, and by the way, I don't think we've seen the last of Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi. We definitely haven't. He's even spoken about recently how he really enjoyed working on the show. And, Disney likes people who like Disney, so I can clearly see him coming back to do more Star Wars in the near distant future. And I can even see an Obi-Wan Kenobi Series 2 coming. But yeah, Hayden Christensen was great as Darth Vader and also as Anakin Skywalker. And the reason I say Darth Vader there is because I do think he got the mannerisms of Darth Vader correct as well. Like, who played him in, I forgot who actually played him. Somebody who played him in the original trilogy. I even watched a documentary kind of about him recently, kind of about like the hidden figures of Star Wars, which I thought was great. Elstree 1976, by the way, that's what it's called. I watched a documentary about the guy who actually played Darth Vader, who didn't voice him. Obviously, I know James Earl Jones voiced him in the original trilogy, but the guy who played Darth Vader in the original trilogy, I watched a documentary about him recently, and I forgot the actor's name is now, but he was so good. And I think that Hayden Christensen did a great job doing the mannerisms of Darth Vader. I believed him as Darth Vader when he played him, and also I liked him back as Anakin Skywalker in episode 5 of the show. And also, I think Moses Ingram was brilliant in the show. I don't understand the racist backlash that she got. The Star Wars fans never learn. First, it's Jake Lloyd, with the Star Wars prequels. Then it's Hamid Best with the Star Wars prequels as well. He played Jar Jar. And it's just so many Star Wars actors just get hate for no reason. Kelly Marie Tran with The Last Jedi. Dislike a character all you want. That's fine. It's a fictional character. You can dislike a character all you want. But don't go at the actors. Stop torturing the actors. Stop being mean to them. It's not fair. In the end, Star Wars should be fun, and then when it's not fun anymore, that's when it starts to become like, that's when I start to regret becoming a Star Wars fan a bit, when it's not fun anymore. And all these people, by the way, who were, being racist to Moses Ingram online, I've got 3 words for you. Get a life. But anyway, going back onto the show as a whole, I really enjoyed Moses Ingram as Reva. I'm not in love with the Reva character though, and I do think the Reva character was written well. I don't think it's a bad character like some people do, which is fair enough. I can understand that criticism, but at the same time though, I kind of wish it was in a different TV show. but I'll get onto that a bit later. But at the same time, though, it was nice seeing, Joel Edgerton come back as a young Uncle Owen. He was in Attack of the Clones and he was in Revenge of the Sith. There's only like one scene in Revenge of the Sith, but it's cool to see him come back, because I didn't know if it ever come back, but I really like the way it was used. I would have liked to see a bit more of young Uncle Owen and young Aunt Beru, but still, at the same time, though, I like they're doing this show, and I would have seen them more over some of the other characters in the show, like Kumail Nanjiani's character and also O'Shea Jackson's Jr. characters. But at the same time, though, I did like they got to a young Uncle Owen and a young Aunt Beru in this series, and I thought that both actors who played those roles did a great job. And also, I believe Joel Edgerton as a young Uncle Owen just like that in this series, much like they did in the Star Wars prequels. And also, I like seeing Kumail Nanjiani in there. I think Kumail Nanjiani is a great actor. I really enjoy him, even in films I don't like Eternals. I think he was one of the best part of Eternals. But I wasn't in love with that character, which I'll get onto a bit later in the video as well. I also think O'Shea Jackson Jr. was great in this series, and also Bandira Roma, and that's what the actress's name is, the one who plays Tala in this series. She's in episode 3, 4, and 5 in this series overall. I think she did a great job. I think she was really good. She was the mother of Snakes in Game of Thrones, by the way. And actually, in Game of Thrones, she was married to Pedro Pascal's character, which is kind of ironic, because Pedro Pascal plays the Mandalorian in the Star Wars universe right now. But still, nevertheless, I really liked Bandira Roma. I might be getting the actress name wrong there, and I do apologise, but I think she did a great job playing Tala. And also, the one who plays young Leia is absolutely fantastic. I spoke about this already, but I instantly believed her as Princess Leia. I instantly believed her as a 10-year-old Princess Leia when she showed up on screen. I believed her as Padme's daughter as well, and I believed her as just a young Leia, and I can see, I don't know, I just thought she was fantastic, and I can see her coming back in future Star Wars TV shows as well. Like, bear in mind, Andor's coming soon, and Andor is all about the birth of the rebellion. It's all about the dark side of the rebellion and how the rebellion grew to be so big as it was. And I can see Bail Organa being in that series, I can see his wife being in that series, and also I can see a young Leia being in that series as well. And I'd love to see her come back. I do think that she's in this show a bit too much, but the actress who played young Leia was absolutely fantastic, and also the actor who played young Luke was great as well. We didn't see much of him, but I did like him when he was on screen. And I also thought that Rupert Friend, who played the Grand Inquisitor, did a great job. Again, I would like to see a bit more of him, oddly enough, though. I want to see a bit more of the Inquisitors. I don't know Star Wars Rebels. I've never watched Star Wars Rebels or the Clone Wars, so I don't really care about the animated Star Wars stuff, I've got to admit. I watched a Clone Wars film all the way back in like 2008 in the cinema, and it just wasn't for me. But still, yes, I really like the Inquisitors in the show, and I want to see more of them, but I really like Rupert Friend as the Grand Inquisitor. And there's a lot in the show which I really, really liked, because I felt like I was watching Star Wars as well. That's the other thing I really liked about the show. I felt like I was watching Star Wars. I felt like I was watching a Star Wars TV show all about Obi-Wan, and I really enjoyed that. It felt Star Wars. Each episode felt Star Wars. Some more than others, I've got to admit, but still, I felt like I was going more into the Star Wars universe. And that's another thing I really loved as well, the fact that this show felt familiar but new. We got to see the Empire again, which we've seen in the original trilogy, which we've seen in Revenge of the Sith as well, at the end of Revenge of the Sith anyway, which we saw in Rogue One as well. But the thing is, though, we got to see a new version of the Empire. We got to see the Inquisitor Fortress, whatever it's called, and the sea and things like that. We got to see the Inquisitors, which we haven't really seen in a live-action Star Wars TV show or film yet, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can remember. And I really, really like the fact that we got to see a new but familiar Empire. I thought it was a great addition to this show. And let's go on to the episode. So spoiler again here, but I've already given my big spoiler alert, but I'm going to give it just in case you've got this far and you don't know what happens in the episodes, but I'm going to go into each episode in a little bit of detail. I'm going to go each episode as quick as I can because there's so much to talk about in regards to each and every episode. Let's start off with episode 1. Episode 1 I loved. I thought it was a great introduction to Obi-Wan. I loved the way McGregor played in that episode. I loved how they were setting the scenes so just so gradually. Nothing was rushed. Nothing felt like it had to be skipped to the next bit. I thought it was done so well. I also loved the introduction to a young Leia. I know a lot of people went online and said, well, it's kind of the introduction to a young, Disney princess. It kind of felt Disney princess-esque. Well, newsflash for you. Leia is now a Disney princess. Disney owns Star Wars. Get over it. But anyway, yes, I thought the introduction to young Leia was done great. I loved seeing, Jimmy Smits back as Senator Bail Organa. And I also loved seeing Old One as well. Old One is a planet we've heard much about in the Star Wars universe. And we saw a bit of it, at the end of Revenge of the Sith. But at the same time, though, we haven't really seen it in detail. We got to see more of Old One in the show. And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of Old One as well going forward in Andor. But, fingers crossed, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But yes, I really liked seeing Old One in in this show. I like that they got to see a new planet there, because it just made me go, hold on, we've heard about it in New Hope, we heard about it in Revenge of the Sith, and we heard a bit about it in Rogue One. We're seeing it again here. Well, we're seeing it properly here, that's what I should say. And also, I like the introductions to the Inquisitors in that episode, and I just thought episode 1 was so good. I thought it was brilliant, and I thought it set the scene so well for the rest of the show. As for episode 2, there are things about episode 2 which I really liked, but ultimately it was a step down from episode 1. I liked the fact they went to a different planet. You know, a lot of people complaining recently that Star Wars has been set on Tatooine, whether it's the Book of Boba Fett or whether it's this show, because, you know, quite a lot of the marketing of the show just had Obi-Wan on Tatooine. But at the same time, though, you know, this episode expanded the Star Wars universe, went to a new planet, and we liked that. But there were parts of episode 2 which I didn't like so much. I didn't really like Kamino Jai's character. I thought Kamino Jai was brilliant. I think he has some great comedic relief, and, you know, I think he's a great actor as well. But I just didn't like the character that much. And then when the character came back later on in the series, I didn't feel like investing in the character, and there wasn't really a character arc with that character. When he came back, I was kind of like, I don't really care, because I just don't really think that character had a great introduction in episode 2. But at the same time, though, I like seeing, you know, Obi-Wan use the Force for the first time once again. Back in episode 2, we got a bit of a glimmer of Obi-Wan. You know, when he rescues Leia, and Leia's been a bit of a joking around him, things like that. You got a bit of a glimmer of what Obi-Wan was like back in Revenge of the Sith again in this episode. I'd like to see more of the Inquisitors as well. But episode 2 just kind of felt like, I don't know, it just kind of felt overall good. I enjoyed it. But it didn't quite grasp me as much as the first episode did. But then there's episode 3. And I thought episode 3 of the series was fantastic. First of all, let's talk about the duel in that episode. I thought the duel was brilliant. I know people criticise the duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in that. Oh, one thing I was going to mention, by the way, episode 2. How could I forget to mention this episode 2? I loved the reintroduction to Darth Vader. I loved how, you know, Moses Ingram's, you know, Reva, the third sister. I loved how her Inquisitor says to Obi-Wan, oh, Anakin's still alive. And then he realises that Anakin is Darth Vader. Then you get that cut to Darth Vader in the back tank. I thought that was fantastic. And then we go into episode 3, so I always got to mention that. I had to mention that. My favourite parts of the second episode. That was a part of the second episode I loved. But then you go on to episode 3, and I thought episode 3 was fantastic. Like I already said, I loved the duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, because even so, you know, the environment they're fighting in isn't spectacular like the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan and Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith. Even so, it's not a spectacular setting. You know, I like the fact that it kind of takes place in like a quarry sort of, you know, rubbish dump, because it's almost like Darth Vader finding Obi-Wan in a rubbish dump. It's like it's finding him in the garbage, and I really like that. I thought that was a really interesting addition to the show. And also, I like the fact that it took place at night as well, because it just meant the only lights that we saw in that scene between, you know, in the duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan was the light of their lightsabers, and I thought that was a really nice addition. And also, I like me and Tala in that episode, like I said, brilliant played by Andira Roma. Again, it might be getting the actress name, I'm going to do apologise, but I thought she was great in there, had some great action as well. And also, I really enjoyed the episode. And also, one thing I was going to mention again in that episode was the fact that we got to see an Anakin vision in the distance. Because, you know, in the last episode, Obi-Wan had heard that Anakin was alive. We see Hayden Christensen as Anakin in the distance. He's having like a vision, like, oh my god, Anakin's coming. And then later on in the episode, you see Obi-Wan walk through the town and kill all those people in a quite graphic and quite scary way, actually. And I really liked that. And also, I liked the duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin, or so to say, Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, at the end of that episode. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Oh, and also, I forgot to mention again that I loved how, you know, Darth Vader drags Obi-Wan through the fire, kind of saying where Anakin gets burnt by lava in Revenge of the Sith. It's kind of mirroring that, and I just thought that was so brilliant. Then we go on to the 4th episode, and I like the 4th episode, but this is kind of my least favourite episode of the series. Actually, I'd say episode 2 is my least favourite. Episode 4 is good. I did really enjoy episode 4 because it had a great narrative drive, in my opinion. You know, the whole series is a great narrative drive, actually, but this episode, it felt like it had a great energy and had a great pace, in my opinion. And I liked how it kind of mirrored episode 4 as well. The, you know, starts episode 4, and you hope, you know, in starts episode 4, and you hope you have Luke, Han, Leia, and Chewie all going through the Death Star, defeating all the Stormtroopers. And this episode kind of had that same thing, even to the point you had the young Leia, you know, they're going through the Inquisitor space and things like that, and they're killing all the Stormtroopers. And I like seeing McGregor back his own one in his full form, doing all the lightsaber moves. That sort of stuff works for me, I just got to admit. And also, I like seeing mad, angry Darth Vader at the end of that episode. But at the same time, though, it did have quite a few problems, that episode. I'm not going to go into the problems because people have talked way too much about them online already, in my opinion. But episode 4 has quite a few big plot holes, like how easy it is to get a snowspeeder into the Inquisitor's base, and also the fact that you knew that, young Leia was never going to be captured. You knew that she wasn't going to stay in the Inquisitor's base. You knew that Obi-Wan was going to save her because she's in A New Hope. And I just thought capturing Leia again at the end of episode 3, which goes on to episode 4 in the series, wasn't the best decision. We've already seen young Leia captured. We saw her captured by Flea, early on the series. Flea, the singer or the bass guitarist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Not really into that band, by the way, but still, we saw her captured by Flea early on in the series, and we didn't need to see her captured again. But I didn't mind episode 4. In fact, I enjoyed it. I watched the episode and I was going along with that. Oh yeah, I'm really into this episode. And I liked episode 4. Sure, it's got its problems, but it was fun. And then we got on to episode 5. And I really liked episode 5. Again in the series, it mirrored, The Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. It mirrored in this episode, at the start of Empire Strikes Back, you have Han, Leia, Chewie, and C-3PO all trying to get off Hoth base, all trying to get off Echo base before it's too late and Darth Vader captures them. And that's what this reminded me of. This episode reminded me of that whole part of Empire when they're trying to get off Hoth. It also kind of reminded me of the whole crate scene from The Last Jedi, which again is mirroring Empire Strikes Back, but that's never here or there. But the whole section of The Last Jedi where the Resistance are trying to get off Crate before it's too late, and the First Order and Kylo Ren captures them. It reminded me of all that stuff in this episode. You see the Empire, you see, Reva, the Inquisitor, and you see Darth Vader all trying to get to Obi-Wan and these group of people before it's too late. And I just thought this episode once again had a great narrative drive, some great duels in there. The duel between Reva and Darth Vader was done fantastically in my opinion, and I thought that it was shot well. I thought the action was done well in that episode, and it did feel like it had a budget as well, but still I really liked that episode because of one big reason. One reason that I almost got to mention, but I'm mentioning it now. That was the episode where we got Anakin Flashback. I love seeing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin. I'm a prequel fan. I just am because I grew up with those movies. And I love seeing him back. I would have liked to see more of him, but I love how that flashback with Obi-Wan and Anakin training before the events of Attack of the Clones is mirrored into this episode. Like it's kind of intertwined into the episode. That's what I meant there. It's kind of intertwined into this episode. And I just thought that was great. And it was so much fun to watch. And also I thought Tyler's death was well in that episode again. And Diarrhea Roma. I might be getting the actress name again wrong there, and I do apologise, but I thought she was great in that episode. I thought she was great in episode 4, which I almost got to mention, but yes, she was great in that episode, and I just thought episode 5 was fantastic, and I loved seeing a young Obi-Wan and a young Anakin back, training before the events of Attack of the Clones, because it kind of brought back memories of me watching Attack of the Clones so many times as a kid. And then we get on to episode 6, finale of the show. And I loved this episode. I thought it was great. I thought the duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan was fantastic. The choreography was brilliant. When Obi-Wan, uses the Force to bring up all those stones, things like that, it reminded me of the way Rey uses the Force to bring up all the stones at the end of The Last Jedi. And also, I thought that when we see Darth Vader get the crack in his helmet, and we see Anakin as Darth Vader in the Darth Vader suit, was so brilliant. We see Hayden Christensen in a Darth Vader suit. I thought it was great. I know a lot of people said that already happens in Star Wars Rebels. Doesn't bother me. The live action Star Wars stuff and the animated Star Wars stuff are two different things in my opinion. I don't really watch animated stuff, so for me, I was watching that going, wow, cracking Darth Vader's helmet. I thought it was brilliant, and I just thought the duel was done so well. We even had a little moment in the duel where Darth Vader stands above Obi-Wan and was like, I have the high ground. I even said that out loud. I was watching my brother and I went, is he going to say it? Is he going to say I have the high ground? Because obviously that's what he says in Revenge of the Sith when he's fighting Obi-Wan. And by the way, the duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan wasn't like the duel between Anakin, and it wasn't as good as the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan or Mustafar at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but still, bear in mind, Revenge of the Sith is a movie, and bear in mind, the movie took 2 years to make in post-production. George Lucas was being so innovative with technology and CGI back then that it was so amazing what he did with that duel, in my opinion, and the Mustafar duel at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And sure, the duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan in this series wasn't as good, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. I really liked the duel, and also I liked Reva's storyline. I liked how it went in the series because she wasn't completely redeemed. Sure, she saved young Luke, but at the same time, though, a lot of people go, listen, how can she be redeemed just like that? She isn't redeemed. She just did one good thing. And, you can probably go back and do loads of evil things. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her again and she's like a smuggler. She's not on the good side or the bad side, kind of like the Mandalorian. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And I liked the way Reva's storyline worked in the series. I don't think it should have been in the series overall. But again, I'll go into that a bit later in this review, very shortly in this review. But I liked seeing all these different elements in the last episode. I thought I had a great narrative drive, like I spoke about before. I liked seeing that, you know, young Uncle Owen and young Aunt Beru were actually kind of cool and actually really good with, you know, blasters when they're trying to protect Luke from Reva. I also liked seeing the reunion between Senator Bail Organa and Obi-Wan when he's on Obi-Wan. I thought that was fantastic. And I liked seeing, you know, Obi-Wan's goodbye to Leia. Because a bit of this series has been inconsistent with canon, with Star Wars canon. Because, you know, Princess Leia doesn't mention to Obi-Wan anything that have happened in this series in A New Hope. But at the end of the series, you do have Obi-Wan saying to young Leia, you know, no one can ever know what happens, or something like that. No one can ever know that we know each other, because it puts in too much danger. And I like that they did that, because it kind of made a bit more sense why she doesn't act like she knows him in A New Hope. I actually thought that kind of worked, and I thought it was consistent with canon at least. I mean, there's still some parts which are a bit inconsistent with canon overall in the series, like the fact that in Star Wars 4 A New Hope, when, you know, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan face off against each other, you know, Alec Guinness is Obi-Wan, and the Darth Vader and New Hope face off against each other in that film. You know, Darth Vader says to Obi-Wan, and I might be paraphrasing it, I might be getting it wrong, and I do apologise. He says to him, like, when I last met you, I was but the learner, I was but the trainer, but now I am the master. It's something like that. And that doesn't totally make sense with this series. It's still inconsistent with the show overall, but that doesn't hugely bother me if you just take the show for what it is. And I am doing. But anyway, going back onto the episode, I also love seeing Qui-Gon back, I've already mentioned, and I loved how the series finished as well. And I also love that little interaction between, you know, young Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan, where you see Obi-Wan say hello there again. I didn't know if it was going to happen, because, you know, Obi-Wan says hello there in A New Hope, and then he says hello there when he jumps down from that podium in Revenge of the Sith, and he faces off against General Grievous. I didn't know they were going to do it, because hello there's a bit of a meme online now, but they did it. Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan said hello there. That's become a meme online, and he said it again here. So that made me laugh out loud the first time I watched it, and it made me smile before when I watched this episode again about an hour ago. And I do think the episode is fantastic. It's my second favourite of the Star Wars Disney Plus finales. My first favourite is still, you know, the finale to Mandalorian Season 2. We see Luke back, and we see the end of Grogu, we see Grogu and, you know, Mandalorian separating. I think that episode is fantastic, but I do think that this is the second best Disney Plus finale so far, and I think it was a great episode, and I do think it gave a glimpse of what the show should have really been about. You know, overall, I enjoyed every episode, and I enjoyed the series quite a lot. I thought it was a great piece of television, but I saw some tweets online recently, and I kind of agree with it. Was this the best Obi-Wan story we could have got? Did this show tell the best Obi-Wan story we could have got? And my answer there is no. I still like the story they told, and I do think that many Star Wars fans kind of build up in their head what series is going to do. It's that whole thing, you know, speculation versus expectation. You can speculate about series or TV show or film all you want, but the thing is, though, sometimes when it's not what people want, and this happens quite a lot with Star Wars, happened with the Book of Boba Fett, and it's happened again here, when it's not what Star Wars fans want, they just complain. But at the same time, though, you need to assess the show for what it is. And that's what I'm doing for the most part in this review. But at the same time, though, I do want to mention this. Is this the best story that this show could have told? Not in my opinion. But I still liked it, though. I still did like it. But I wish this show, which I spoke about before in my video that I made about my excitement for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, I do think the show should have focused on, like, the past brotherhood between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and how that's been tarnished now, and how Anakin, as Darth Vader, still thinks of Obi-Wan and things like that. And I do think that this show should have focused more on that, instead of the whole stuff with Reva. Like, I do like Reva as a character. I think she's a well-written character, and I really like the way they took that character in this series as a whole. But if you put that in a different TV show, like put that in the Andor TV show, put that in the Ahsoka TV show, I don't know, just spice it up a bit. But if you put it in a different TV show, and do it in a different Star Wars Disney Plus TV show, I think it would have worked better. But because the main draw of the show was, you know, seeing Hayden Christensen back as Anakin's lifestyle Vader, and Ewan McGregor back as Obi-Wan, and just the relationship between them two 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith, because that was the main draw of the show, so much that the marketing was literally them two, the whole press talk was literally Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor talking together. You know, Disney Star Wars clearly, you know, people wanted from the show, so you had that as a main focus, but then you had all this stuff running with Reva, and I just don't think it was the best idea to do that. And I feel you had Reva in a different Disney Plus show, like Andor. Put in Andor. Andor's coming out at the end of August. Put him in Andor. If you put him in a different Disney Plus show, I think the character could have worked better. But because this show should have really just been about Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, I feel that she was kind of a bit of a hindrance. I think the character is great, and I think Mose Ingram does a great job playing her, but I just feel she would have worked better in a different Star Wars Disney Plus show. I've got to admit. Because this show should have been about the past brotherhood between Anakin and Obi-Wan Obi-Wan and how it's been tarnished now. And also, I want to be more of a deep dive into Obi-Wan's character, like a character study of Obi-Wan. Maybe we see flashbacks of a younger one, played by a different actor. Maybe we see him meet a young Qui-Gon. We see them train together before the events of the Phantom Menace. And then we see a young Obi-Wan, de-aged Obi-Wan, de-aged McGregor in the series. They could have done that. They did it with Luke in the book of Boba Fett, and they did it with Luke at the end of Mandalorian Season 2 as well. They could have de-aged Obi-Wan, they could have de-aged Ewan McGregor, and then you could have seen him after the events of the Phantom Menace training a young Anakin Skywalker. I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas, but get the point I'm trying to make. I want it to be more of a deep dive into Obi-Wan's past. I know in episode 3 of the show, we learned that Obi-Wan has had a brother. By the way, that's not a throwaway line. We're definitely going to see Obi-Wan's brother at some point in the future of Disney Star Wars, but whether he actually meets Obi-Wan, I don't know, but still, that wasn't a throwaway line. I would like to see more of a deep dive into that, see how, the Jedi took Obi-Wan away from his family, see the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin post the events of Attack of the Clones. I mean, I know we got a bit of that in that flashback in episode 5, but I wanted to see more of it. I wanted to see how, Order 66 affected Obi-Wan after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and how, affected Anakin after the events of Revenge of the Sith as well, losing that brotherhood between both characters. And again, we did get a bit of that. Reva in the show, her character is a representation of what Obi-Wan could have done to save all those people in Order 66. If Obi-Wan did save all those people in Order 66, then Reva wouldn't have turned to the dark side. She wouldn't have been an Inquisitor. But still, I want to see more of that. I just want to see more of a deep dive into Obi-Wan. Because even though it's a great show, even though I really enjoyed it, much like Solo, it isn't... I came out of the series and I still don't know a lot about Obi-Wan. I know Clone Wars might cover it, but I don't want to watch Clone Wars. It's just not for me. And I want to see more of a deep dive into the Obi-Wan character before the events of the Phantom Menace. Cast another young actor to play him, I don't know. So have flashback sequences. You have flashback sequences already in the show. Have more. And I feel this show is a bit too much concerned with introducing other new characters. Don't get me wrong, I love having new characters in the Star Wars universe, but maybe not in this show. I do feel that maybe they should have focused more on like young Uncle Owen and young Amberu over some of the other new characters like O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character, Tala's character, and also Kamino Nanjiani's character as well. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed watching those characters, but if you focus the series more on seeing life in the homestead and things like that, while at the same time they saw Obi-Wan struggling with his trauma after the events of Revenge of the Sith, if you focus the series more on that, I would have liked it a lot more. I mean, again, I'm just whining because that's what I would have wanted from the show. And if I'm assessing it for what it is, I still liked it for what it is. But I do think it could have been better. And that's why I'm slightly disappointed in this show overall. I did still really enjoy it though. I did, but I still don't know a lot about Obi-Wan. And I kind of wish I did. And I know that Clone Wars might cover that, but I'm not going to watch Clone Wars. It's just not for me. But anyway, I'm going to quickly talk about some other things I wasn't too fond of. I'm not too fond of the episode lengths as well. Why did this show have to be 6 episodes to start off with? And I kind of wish that this series was 7, 8 or 9 episodes long. So we really got into the nitty-gritty stuff, and maybe we could add more time to read the story. But instead, everything kind of feels rushed to a certain degree, and it kind of feels a bit like, why are we doing this in 6 episodes? That's another point I want to make, I don't understand what has to be 6 episodes. If you cut large sections of this out, it could just be a great 2.5 hour film or 3 hour film, something like that. Have a 3 hour Star Wars movie all about Obi-Wan. People flock to go and see that. People love it. But because Solo bombed at the box office with a Star Wars movie, Disney was never going to do that. And I do feel that this series shouldn't have been 6 episodes long. I don't understand the point of 6 episode TV shows. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like this series overall, but there's so many 6 episode TV shows, like Moon Knight and like The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which just don't work. And also, The Time Traveler's Wife, which I reviewed recently on this channel, I don't know if The Time Traveler's Wife is going to be a multi-season show. I don't know. But the first season of The Time Traveler's Wife, it doesn't feel like anything because there's only 6 episodes to tell its story. And that's kind of the same way I feel about this show. I mean, I like the show quite a lot. Don't get me wrong. I like it. I've done it a million times with you. But I'll say again, I like it. But I just would have liked, I don't know, a longer show. Even if it was 7 episodes like the Book of Boba Fett, I don't feel it would have been as rushed. But still, make it longer. Make it 10 episodes like a normal TV show. Or make it 8 episodes even, like The Boys is, or like The Succession episodes, or something like that. Make it longer. But each episode, by the way, isn't like 50 minutes. Like the last episode was 50 minutes. I loved that. But some episodes are like 35 minutes. Like episode 4 of the show was 35 minutes long. Make the episodes longer. I mean, don't be wrong, if you have a great half an hour of television, that's brilliant. But I would have liked every episode to be 50 minutes and really get into detail and a lot happen, things like that. But I I just would like the episodes to be a bit longer, and I would like the show to be longer overall. And also, the CGI in the series wasn't great. I read on Twitter the other day, and this might be wrong, bear in mind I'm getting my information off Twitter, but still I read off Twitter the other day that apparently the budget for each episode of the show was $25 million. Wow. Where did that budget go? You know, the CGI really wasn't great. It reminded me of like the graphics in the old Star Wars Battlefront games from like 2004, like the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. It reminded me of the graphics in that game, and it wasn't great. And I don't know why the budget went. Like, this show does feel like it has a budget, and that's fine in my opinion. It doesn't really bother me because there's only so much you can do with a Star Wars TV show in the end, a live action Star Wars TV show. That, but still, I don't know. I thought the CGI was actually quite poor, which is quite surprising. It didn't hugely bother me that, like it did in Jurassic World Dominion. Again, a film I despise, but still, I don't know. I just thought the CGI was a bit bad, which I didn't really like. And I don't know. I feel the series could have been better. I do feel like it should have been a film as well. And also Natalie Holt's score, which I almost got to mention. I like Natalie Holt's score. I think she did a good job with the score for the show. But it's probably the worst Star Wars score I've heard yet. I think her score is worse than Michael Giacchino's score for Rogue One. I think her score is worse than John Powell's score for Solo. And I also think her score is worse than Ludwig Göransson's scores for Mandalorian series. And I also think her score is worse than John Williams' scores. But the thing is though, whenever a new composer comes to Star Wars, they're automatically going to be compared to John Williams. Even to the point that John Williams has done the main theme for the show, so obviously her score is going to be compared to the main theme. So her score is also going to be compared to John Williams. And that's an unfair comparison. No one can compare it to John Williams. John Williams is the GOAT. But at the same time, though, you know, her score just isn't as good as the other scores in my opinion. Like, I think John Powell's score for Solo was brilliant. I'm not a fan of Solo, which I've already mentioned about 5 times in this review, but I love the score for that movie. Michael Giacchino's score for Rogue One is brilliant in my opinion. I don't understand the hate that score got. I think it's fantastic. And also, I really like Ludwig Göransson's scores for the Mandalorian series, and also his main theme for the Book of Boba Fett. But at the same time, though, I just think Natalie Holt's score for the show should have been better. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad like some people do. And I like the fact that she used more original themes as well. Like, I didn't expect it to. I thought it would be a lot of the old themes, but at the same time though, I don't know, it just didn't really sound like Star Wars music quite a few times in the show. I've got to admit, I just kind of wish it was a bit better. I don't think it's a bad score, but I do think it could have been better. But I did like in the last episode of the series, by the way, which I almost got to mention, but I like in the last episode where she used those classic John Williams motives, those classic Star Wars John Williams motives, like when you hear the Imperial March at one point, when you hear Princess Leia's theme as well in the background, and also when you hear the Force theme, it brought a huge smile to my face because I was like, they're those classic Star Wars themes. I just thought they'd be in the show a lot more, and I think they should have been in the show. Maybe this wasn't the best place to have new and original themes. Maybe this should have been a show all about fan service, but I don't know. I just thought this show should have used a lot more of the classic John Williams motives than it actually did. But I did think that Natalie Holt did a good job with the Star Wars score. And if she came back, I'd give her another chance. I think she did a great job again, but still, I think her score could have been better. And that's kind of how I see the show as a whole. I like it quite a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed watching every episode. I think it's great additions. And I like the fact that it's still an Obi-Wan story. I like the fact that it's all about family again, which is what Star Wars has always been about. But at the same time, though, it could have been better. I would have liked the show to be more of a character study of Obi-Wan. You know, really get a deep dive into that character, you know, see what he's like in the past, and then see what he's like after the events of Revenge of the Sith, and how that's affected him, kind of like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. But still, I don't know. In the end, I did like the show, but I do think it should have been a film as well. I think if it was a film, it would have got a lot more attention. I think it could have been better, more tight, more to the point. But there's so much of the show which I did so really enjoy. I really enjoyed the fan service elements. I loved John Williams' main theme of the show. I thought it was well directed, not brilliantly directed, but I do think it was well directed. And I'd love to see Deborah Chow direct more in the Star Wars universe. Maybe not another complete series, but still, I'd love to direct like another episode of Mandalorian Season 3 or Andor or something like that, or the Ahsoka show. I really like the way it was directed, and I like the visuals. I thought it was a well-made show. I thought it was good overall. I thought it was really good overall. I just think it could have been better. So it's disappointing in my opinion, but it's still great. And that's kind of how I feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi as a whole. And so, all in all, I'm going to say the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, I'm going to say that it's an 8 out of 10. I'm feeling generous because I like Star Wars. I'm feeling generous, okay? It's an 8 out of 10. So I'm feeling generous there. And maybe it doesn't deserve the rating of an 8 out of 10, but I'm still going to give it anyway because I liked it. I had great fun with the show, and that's what I want to take away from it. You know, all the people that didn't, that's fair enough. But don't be a gatekeeper, by the way. Don't be a gatekeeper fan. Don't be one of those people online that says, well, I didn't like Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show. I don't really like the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, so you shouldn't. Don't be one of those people. Be one of those people who say, okay, I didn't enjoy one, but if someone else did, that's fantastic. Or be like me, where I go, okay, I enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi, but if someone else didn't, that's fine. It's all subjective. Just because I like something doesn't mean you should. Just because I dislike something doesn't mean you should as well. Just like what you like and let no one else tell you otherwise. And that's how I feel the show. You know, a lot of Star Wars fans, you know, will actively dislike anything Disney Star Wars because it's owned by Disney and Disney's a big media conglomerate. Get over yourself! Disney have owned Star Wars now for many, many years, and they're going to keep owning them forever. That's just how it's going to work. So get over yourself that Disney owns Star Wars. It's a stupid excuse to dislike things Disney Star Wars. But the point I'm making there, though, is that there's some fans out there which actively go out to dislike all these new Disney Star Wars things. And that's fine. Good for them. Hope those people have an amazing life going forward, disliking everything they see Disney Star Wars. But I always want to be positive about Disney Star Wars. Even the Star Wars stuff I don't like Solo, like Attack of the Clones. I mean, I actually quite like Attack of the Clones because I watched so many times as a kid. But even those things I don't really like Star Wars-wise, I always want to be positive about them. And that's kind of how I feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, I like Obi-Wan Kenobi again. I'm sounding like I don't. I do. I think it's a great show. But I want to focus on the positives. I haven't dwelled on the negatives from the show. Sure, I want it to be longer. Sure, the episode lengths were the best. And also the CGI wasn't the best. And Reva would have fit better in a different TV show. Make an Inquisitor TV show. Put him in there. That would have been so much better. But still, yes, overall, even so, you know, I have many problems with the show, I still like the fact that it happened. And I want to focus on the positives. And I still really enjoyed it as well. You know, I can't lie there. If I came out on this channel and said, Obi-Wan was terrible, then what would be the point of me doing that? What would be the point of me? Because it would just be a complete lie. And I'm always honest to this channel. I'm always completely honest. And I enjoyed this show. And if you didn't, that's fair enough. If you have your fair criticism of it, great. I will sit there and listen to you, and if you do have your fair criticisms, put them in the comments down below. But at the same time, though, if you like the show, stand by your ground. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, because that is one of the big problems with Star Wars fandom nowadays. So many Star Wars fans from the gatekeepers like, if I don't like this, then no one else should. No, just like what you like. Anyway, went a bit of a tangent there, but still, nevertheless, you get the point I'm making. Overall, I really liked this show. It was a lot of fun to watch. I enjoyed each episode. The fan service didn't feel suffocating, like the Jurassic World Dominion. And at the same time, though, I thought it was well directed. Not brilliantly directed, but well directed. And I liked the music as well, like the musical score. I loved the main theme by John Williams. I love seeing Ewan McGregor back. He's brilliant in the show. I think the one who plays young Leia is great. Would love to see more of her in the Star Wars universe. I don't think she should have been in the show as much as she was, but still, nevertheless, I did enjoy watching her. I liked seeing all these characters come back. It was a bit messy, it was a bit clunky, but overall, it was a good time for me. I had a good time watching this show. And was it the best story that Disney could have told about Obi-Wan? No. But was it still a good story? Yes, definitely. And I did really enjoy it, even though I was slightly disappointed by it. But I still did really like it. You'd be disappointed by something and still really like it. And that's how I feel about Obi-Wan. It's great fun in my opinion. And is it the best Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show we could have got? Absolutely not. And could it have been better? Certainly. But I really liked it. And that's kind of all I have to say about Obi-Wan Kenobi as a whole. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Obi-Wan Kenobi is a 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Please leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video. I'm looking forward to many more, both film and TVs, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!